The title of today's video is a little cryptic, I guess, but it's kind of one of the things that you learn as you spend time in Pattaya is the idea of three tequila shots has a certain place in a certain community, you might say. And so we're gonna I'm gonna talk about the first time I went into a bar to seriously spend some time. I entertained the notion of maybe, meeting a woman in the bar. And usually, I've said this many times in my videos, I tend to date more than I tend to pick up bar girls or freelancers on Beach Road. I date, and I prefer just normal Thai women. I'm not saying the bar girls are abnormal, but you know what I mean. Has job, not in the entertainment industry or red light industry. And so this one of my first times, an acquaintance of mine, he owned a bar. I went in. I met a lady just kind of by chance that really, she was fun. We had a good time. We had a good rapport. We seemed to be attracted to each other. And the drink started flowing. And I had learned, through watching YouTube videos, not to let your bin get too far out of control. That's really good advice when you're sober in the middle of the day and you're reading or listening to that. But when you're sitting with a very pretty girl right next to you who's constantly like touching you and kissing you and everything else, your reason kind of goes by the wayside. But anyways, in this trip, I stayed for several hours. We had fun. We played games. We did all these things. And I didn't really notice so much that everything that we were doing had the goal of getting more drinks for her. Okay. So the first thing I will say, when it comes to three shots, we're going to talk about the significance of that a little bit in a minute. But first thing is, if you order three shots for the young lady that you're with, probably what you're getting is 3 glasses of water with a little tequila spread, splashed on top. And when you get your shot, you get the full strength stuff. So they're not cheating you. It's just that the women have to drink so much in the course of a day. They start at 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon, and they go till after midnight. That's a lot of drinking, especially for a petite young Thai lady. So it's a lot of alcohol to handle. So they water down the drinks. They sometimes just serve them juice, and that's fine. If not, you'd see, you go in at 8 o'clock at night, and you'd see all the bar girls asleep in the chair, or something. But so the first thing, and the only reason I bring that up about the tequila being water and with a little tequila on top is how fast a young petite lady will slam down three tequilas like it's nothing, because in fact it is nothing. When anyone, unless you're a real boozer, you get a shot of tequila and you gotta wait a couple of minutes before you take anything else or want anything else. You take a shot of tequila, it burns your throat, it burns your stomach. You kind of have that, is it going to make me sick kind of feeling for at least a minute or two. Then things settle down. So after 5 minutes, you can take another shot. But you'll see these ladies, and they just you order them 3 tequilas, they just chew. Yeah, and they never could do that. You want to see the look of horror on a bar girl's face. Order a shot for you and a shot for her. And then after she sits down and serves them, switch them. And she will have the most shocked look on her face. And then after she takes the shot, she will make the worst face and she's gagging and everything else. And it's that's amazing. On all those other shots of tequila, you didn't act that way. And so that's the thing. That's my only problem with the watered down drink thing, is that it's really easy for her to slam down 3 drinks of mostly water with a little tequila on top and then say, can I have another one? While you're still suffering the effects of the first one. So that's one of the things. The other thing is, call me old fashioned, but the transition from dating to paying for pleasure was a very slow one. I still am not that crazy about it. I prefer to date ladies and get to know them and everything. Um, but it just, the whole thing felt odd. You know, the first night that I was with the first bar girl for a period of time. I mean, I'd had a drink or two with bar girls in the past, but I never sat and really developed a conversation, stayed for hours with one person. And, you know, the whole thing, by the time all was said and done, we played games, and whoever won got a shot. You know, either she would kiss me or I would buy her a shot. And the girls sit and they play these games like all day long, so they're great at them. Connect Four or whatever else they play. And so, of course, you know, my bar bill kept going. And I would check on it. You know, I'd look, and it inched past 2,000 baht to 3,000 baht. And by the time I was, you know, by the time okay, you know, it's time for me to go, it was like approaching 5,000 baht. And, you know, you think about that, and it's not a lot. But you also think about it and put it in perspective. You know, if you are wanting a woman, if you're wanting to have a date with a woman, let's say, and you go and you talk to a woman on Beach Road, that date's going to cost you $30 to $60 probably. And, you know, in a bar girl situation, it's I always joke, and it's like when you know, decide, and when a man decides that he's going to pay for pleasure, he shouldn't be asking himself if he's going to get lucky at the end of the night. And that with a bar girl, it's kind of like that, because some of the bar girls don't bar fine. They simply sit and have drinks. But it's nothing unless you ask, and that's one of the reasons in all my videos I tell you, ask. That when you first sit down, ask. You know, how much is your bar fine? And if the girl says, I don't go with customers, then, you know, have a drink, maybe two drinks with her, and move on. Because it's ridiculous if you're looking for something, you're paying money for something, and you don't get it. You know, it's like, that's ridiculous. So I got to a point where I was really off of the whole bar girl thing. And I just, you know, I told some of my guy friends, it's like, I'll just date. You know, it's like, this whole thing of sitting there, and it's like, I'm not really a bar kind of guy. I did that plenty when I was young. You would sit there for hours drinking and it's like, for what? You know, at least at home, I can, you know, have a quiet conversation if I want to talk to somebody. I can watch TV. I can do what I want to do if I want to drink. But it's like in a bar, you know, you're sitting there and it's just, you know, it's a good thing for a short time. But after that, you kind of start getting bored with it. And that's the way I was with the whole bar girl thing. And so a couple of guys were talking to me. It's like, hey, there's a bar crawl tonight. Let's go. And it's like, you know, I've had enough of that. You know, I don't need any more. And it's like, no, it goes to different kinds of bars. You know, it goes, you know, down in different parts of town, different kinds of bars in Pattaya. You'll maybe, you know, maybe they're different, and you'll see the difference. It's like, whatever. So I went with them. And the first two bars, the first one was weird. I mean, it wasn't. The girls were like over in their area talking, and it's like the restaurant was really pushing food, and so that was strange. And then we go to the second one. It's just the same. The girls are talking to you. The more attractive ladies went with the better looking guys. The less attractive ladies went with the less attractive guys. They were, you know, trying to get as many drinks out of us as they could. One of the guys, which I kind of got to know on the trip, he actually met a nice, very pretty young lady, and he decided to stay and bar find her, and that all worked out for him, which was good. But you know, it was more of the same, getting drinks out of us. Hey, you know, you want a shot? All these things. Let's play games, and you know, if you win, I'll give you a kiss. If not, you buy me a drink. And so same thing. And I was not probably in the best mood for it. So I played along a little bit. I bought, you know, one or two drinks wherever we went. And finally we went to a place to where the guy that was the director of the bar crawl said, well, now this place is different. And it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Buy me a drink. And he said, no. He said, it's different. He said, you'll see. And we go in, and there's a like a buzzer on the door, like a jewelry store would have, to have to buzz you in. And you go in, and there were probably like 12, 13 guys on this bar crawl. And it was a smaller place. And it was kind of all, sitting or seating around the edge of this room where all of us were. And there was, at least one lady for each guy, and a couple left over. And all of a sudden, I saw this lady walk out, and she had absolutely no clothes on. It's like, okay, because I mean, it's a shock. I've seen a lot of unclothed women in my time, but it's always been in a private situation. It's never just been, woo, here I am. And so she walks out with her clothes on, and it's like, I'm thinking, what the heck? And she sits on the guy's lap, and there's all these guys in the room, of course, staring at her because she's got her clothes on. And there was a girl sitting or standing by me, and all of a sudden she just kisses me. And she said, do you want a drink? And it's like, sure, happy place. But anyways, that place worked out really well. There was never any question that anyone that was there and sitting with a girl, if he wanted a date, he would have a date, no question asked. There wasn't any options of, oh, I don't do that, buy me drinks or anything else. And the relevance of the 3 drink reference in the title has to do with the fact that the difference was the first bars we went to are just standard bars. Some people say beer bars. But they're standard bars. They have bar girls that are, meet with you and sit with you for drinks. And, it's pretty much the same but different. All of them have little differences, but they're pretty much all the same. The place that we went into that had the girl that lost her clothing was called a gentleman's club. And a gentleman's club is different. It's when you're talking about bar girls and buying them drinks and being in a beer bar or a bar situation that's the ordinary bar. There's a lot left. You're paying a lot of money out, but there's no real rules that nothing's concrete. Everything's kind of up in the air, and everybody makes the rules up as they go. In a gentleman's club, it's pretty much cut and dry, cause and effect. 3 tequila shots seems to be the starting point for tequila that amazingly makes clothing disappear. And I couldn't believe it, but it was true. And there were all these other things that the gentleman's club had that were very user friendly, you might say. And it kind of restored my faith in, because I didn't feel like, wow, this is just a complete and utter waste of money. I sit and I drink up with the girl 4,800 baht worth of alcohol, and I talk about bar finding, and she doesn't want to do that. She wants me to come back 3 or 4 days from then. But of course, she would want me to come in every night and visit her. And I've met some other ladies. I've met ladies basically, I've been to the mall, and I've met a lady, there was one lady really pretty, and she told me she worked at a bar. She was very upfront and honest about it. But everything became, it's like, well, I'll take you to breakfast, or let's go here, let's do that. Not in the bar. And it's like she always directed me to the bar. And it's like, I don't want to sit in a bar and drink. That's fine once in a while, or, every couple of days, but every day you just sit there and drink, and that's all there is to do. And then you have a person encouraging you to drink more. It's like, hey, you're done. Let's have another. And it's just, I don't know, kind of depressing. But that's one of the things with the 3 reference. If you find that you get frustrated with the situation in a normal bar, then try a gentleman's club. If you haven't tried, more than one gentleman's club, try several, because there are some that are just absolutely amazing, and they're really a lively, fun atmosphere, just as you can imagine. Um, and when the situation happens to where you buy so many tequilas and this happens or that happens, you don't have to worry if the tequilas are watered down. Who cares? Drink water, drink juice. I don't care, because it's set in kind of concrete. This is what happens, as opposed to everything else is always kept vague. That's one of the only things that I don't like about Pattaya is everything is nothing is for sure. Um, Everything is vague. The some of the guys, they'll spend so much money, and the girl wants to go dancing, and then after dancing, she wants to go to some bars and drink more that her friends work at, because she gets a commission on those drinks too. And it's like, we all realize that money is what makes all this go around, but there always reaches a certain point to where you feel like, okay, you've reached in my pockets enough. Okay, this is, again, cause and effect. I spent all this money and there's no end in sight. There's, paying for a date is one thing, but you have to see an end that date is going to come, and that a lot of times with in a bar situation, that's not the case.